Coming up next on the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by Toyota, the hot stove feels colder than the temperatures did this weekend. When's it finally going to heat up for Cubs fans? Do something here for us. Plus, Seiya Suzuki, the final report card for our 2025 season, and the future of right field at Wrigley. Chill with us, CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast, presented by our friends at Toyota. Luke Stuckmeyer, Joey Christopoulos with you on a Monday that's at least warmer than it was on Sunday. Wow, that was cold. That was really cold. Hopefully things will heat up for Cubs baseball here in the hot stove, and we'll get something done this week. We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll be talking about Seiya Suzuki, his report card. How did you grade his regular season? How did you grade his playoffs? How did you grade him overall? And then, is he still the future in right field? What will happen in right field and what should happen in right field for the Cubs moving forward? Plus all the stuff that's happening around baseball. There have been some minor moves, some moves kind of related to the Cubs, and then some players that we've been waiting to hear about that maybe the Cubs aren't really in on anymore. But first, Joey, you braved the cold, and so did PCA at the Bears game yesterday.
We lived to tell the tale. Luke, good to be with you. I don't know about PCA, but I wanted to give you my layer menu of what I had to put myself through. And if you've ever seen the show Friends before, it's like when Joey put on all of Chandler's clothes at one time.
Yeah.
But here's what I did, chat. Tell me how I did on this one. So I went 2 pair of socks and then 1 pair like really thick wool socks. So I went 3 pair of socks.
Wow.
I went long john, bottom and top. For my pants, I went long john, flannel pants, sweatpants, jeans. So I did a 4-layer. I did the lasagna bottom half. Top half, I did long john, long sleeve, North Face jacket, Walter Payton sweatshirt, and then I wore this big, huge, long coat. And then I had 2 things of hand warmers in both boots, so 4 on both feet, and then 2 on my hands. And then wore a face covering, glasses, and 2 hats. I wore 2 winter hats.
Number one question is, when was the first time you had to go to the bathroom, and how did that go?
Bathroom? Who's talking about bathroom? I just let
it ride, huh?
Just go, man. Just go. That part went okay. And I will admit that I did imbibe a little bit yesterday. It also kind of heat me up. But no, I try to keep those definitely like at a possible minimum. So I think the key to the whole thing was just extremely dehydrate yourself. Really just ride the rail of dehydration and just roll the dice. But it was incredibly cold. I'm not going to say I was warm. I'm just going to say I wasn't numb. And that was the mission yesterday, was to not be numb. And thankfully also the other part was the Chicago Bears did every Bears fan a huge favor by having a thrilling game with everything to cheer for. So I'm up and I'm high-fiving and my extremities at least are moving instead of like sitting there in my seat on a 3rd and 11. So I think that helped out too a little bit, but I survived.
3 socks, foot warmers, and boots?
And boots.
And did your toes finally get cold?
They went from numb to just capable. Just like functioning. Not there was no warmth yesterday. It was all about just creating something that didn't make it feel like I was getting crushed by the wind or the crazy cold the whole time. And of course, everyone in the stands too is having a great time, right? Like My buddy got a tequila soda that lasted about 2 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? That went straight ice. Everyone's showing off their beer cups like they've got little foam ice cream in their cups because everything froze. So everyone was having a good laugh about it. And I thankfully didn't see any shirtless people. You know what I mean? I think everyone
I was just
pretty.
going to ask. I kept waiting for the shot of the shirtless guy, which happens at every cold game, but I don't think I saw one in the broadcast.
There wasn't on the broadcast, but there was at the CHGO tailgate, right, Sarah?
Yeah, let me find it real quick.
Try and pull that up.
Yeah.
There was a shirtless man. It could have been Braggs. Could have been Braggs' uncle. Could have been Uncle Bragg.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
But those were you guys got tents at least.
They had tents yesterday, which was really nice. And, and as you said, very apropos, you know, everything's looking up around here, right? We got 20 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. I did go to Murphy's after the game with some friends to eat some pizza and watch the Packers and the Lions lose, which is awesome.
If you guys want to watch it.
Yeah, let's go for it. And I was getting a lot of FOMO about the 120 Club. Here's shirtless man, yeah.
Let's go! Yeah!
Oh, my.
Let's go! Fucking A! Let's go! Fucking A!
He looks miserable. Right?
He definitely looks cold.
He definitely looks cold.
It's not worth it. Let me tell you, that wasn't worth it for him.
We've seen it. We've seen it all. We've seen it before. We're not here to impress. We're here to survive, Luke. That's the whole idea with our sporting events.
I want to ask Pete Crow-Armstrong. So he was in kind of a light coat and looked like some sort of jog suit out there. And he was standing there. I don't know how long he was on the sidelines before the game. I wonder if he was colder yesterday or if he's colder standing out for 9 innings in April at Wrigley Field.
Ooh.
Which one is colder for him? Actually being out there playing the game and standing in the outfield at Wrigley when it's one of those like 39 degrees, a spitting, misting rain with a heavy wind? Or is it colder yesterday where your skin freezes in like 15 minutes?
Yeah, for a guy, I mean, I lived in Sherman Oaks where he's from for over 7 years. He looked pretty West Coast miserable there. I know he was putting on a good smile, but he definitely did the whole, like, he had the prison shoulders going of like the hunched up, like, hey guys, let's go Bears. I don't know. And then the other adage is when he's out there in center field, right? Isn't that the old, like, you get the focus and the passion and all that stuff that get that in your bloodstream? Yeah, run around a little bit. Just keep it flowing. I mean, I don't know what he would prefer. I don't know if he would prefer standing out there on the sideline the whole game or 10 straight pitches that are inside on the bat and you get that ringing in your hands. What would he prefer? Which door would he open?
Well, I tell you, the coldest I've been some of those games at Wrigley, sitting down in that camera well, cold.
And the bullpen blows it, just kind of adds
Damp
to it a little bit.
Damp is almost worse than it's tough to say. Anyways,
I was going to say, Luke, quick shout out, just really quickly to our good friend here in the chat, Craig Brindle, who consistently, Luke, consistently in the chat, Craig Brindle always comes on and says trade Shaw for Scooble, and today now he's just saying trade Shaw for starter. And I think we're slowly, as this hot stove is cooling, Luke, eventually it's just going to be trade Shaw for anyone.
Yeah.
His mantra is changing.
That's the way it's going. At least we don't know. I don't know how the whole thing's going to unfold. Kind of today's focus a little bit will be right field, but we're still waiting to see what Bregman's going to do. We're still waiting to see what Imai is going to do. We'll talk about King. We'll talk about those guys a little bit, but since this is the final report card, we saved Seiya for the finish. Unless we decide to do ownership, which I know Michael Collada, the Godfather, would love to get a report card to ownership.
Straight A's.
Maybe the grounds crew, too. I don't know. But we've done the majority of the players that need to be done. Seiya Suzuki, before I say anything about him, can we agree that it was his best season in a Cubs uniform? Because I remember a point during the season where Seiya was leading the league in RBI, right, before the All-Star break. And I remember JD and Boog kind of debating, is this his best season or just the numbers the best? And they kind of at one point landed on I think it might just be the numbers are the best. I don't know if it's really technically his best. Did you overall feel like this was his best season as a Cub?
And that's the larger conversation we're going to have with Seiya today about, has he put together truly a complete season as a Chicago Cub? And if he ever did that, what does that ceiling look like? Yeah. I think we could have a fun debate about the year before he got so white hot towards the tail end of the 2024 season that when we'll pull up some stats and we'll do all that breakdown and all that stuff, that there are certain numbers, depending on what you want to depend on and what you want to look at. Let's start with the easy one, OPS. His OPS was higher in 2024 than it was in 2025 because of that white hot end to his season. But I'm with you, Luke, that I think by and large, was it a complete season from Seiya? Not even close. But it covered, in terms of the coverage of above average all-star play and the type of potential that we want to see from Seiya, I think it was, and some of the counting stats also fleshed that out as well.
Yeah, you're referring, I know, mostly to the regular season because the first half was those three guys, PCA, Tucker, and Seiya, were all just spectacular, right?
Boom, boom,
we were screaming at the top of our lungs, how is Seiya how is he not an all-star?
How do you lead the National League? Yeah. How do you lead the National League in RBIs? Yeah, and not be an all-star.
And I know some of that has to do with guys have to be on base, but it also shows the guy was coming through and he was getting big hits. Like, he was really good in the first half. And I think most of us looked at it and said, wow, this could be the year he finally does put it all together. And I would just slightly disagree with what you said, where you said, was it a complete season? I would say yes, because very rarely do you get a player that has just this steady, he's great, season starts, season finished. At least not in a Cubs uniform. It doesn't happen very often, Like, yes, the second half wasn't good, but he responded before the end of the season, the end of the regular season, right at the end. And that's where you saw signs of life. And we're like, okay. So when I went back and thought, all right, what kind of grade do I want to give Seiya for the regular season? Well, 2.6 FWAR, 123 WRC plus, 32 homers, 478 slug, 245 batting average. I gave him a B. Even though there was a stretch of the season that was really not good. But when you hit 30, all I asked for him once we knew Tucker was there was hit some home runs and be a run producer. The guy drove in runs and he hit 32 home runs. I don't expect him to play good right field anymore because he's not a good right fielder defensively. So did he give me everything I asked for? Yes, it was not a consistent playing, and it had some peaks. Luckily, the last peak was at the very, very end in the postseason, but I had to give him at least a B because it wasn't a C. It wasn't an average season. The WRC plus tells you it wasn't an average season. Finally getting to 30 plus homers isn't an average season. So it's not an A, but it is a B for me.
Yeah, look, that's a really good counter when you talk about, and this is what we've been doing for a while, first half Cubs versus second half Cubs. First half Cubs, easily 90-plus win team, perhaps top 2, top 3 in the National League, and definitely a contender for the National League pennant. Second half Cubs, a little bit closer to 500, a little more reminiscent of 23 and 24. And I think you're making a really good point that I'm wildly willing to concede that if we talk about PCA, Kyle Tucker, and we talk about Seiya Suzuki, of all those three players who turned the nose up on that offensive spiral, it was by far Seiya Suzuki. And I think that's going to reflect both in our postseason grades. And we're going to go to a break, and then I'm going to give my regular season grade on the other side of the break. And if you want to hop in the chat too as well, drop your grades too as well. I just want to preface it before we go to break that I hold Seiya in a really high regard, and whether that's fair or not, it's fine. As a Cubs fan, I just think the world of him from an offensive potential standpoint. He compares himself to Mike Trout. I do not think that he is Mike Trout, but I do think he has a ceiling and a capability that can get pretty damn close to that. So when I reveal my grades for the regular season on the other side, it's just because I hold him in a really high regard, and I think that he could be the foundation, one of those major foundation pieces for the Cubs from an offensive standpoint. But let's take a quick break here. On the other side of break, keep talking Seiya Suzuki grades, but let's get some messages from our wonderful partners right here on the CHGO Cubs podcast.
I'll tell you what a good bet is right now. A good bet is that the Bears are going to make the playoffs. I think it's going to happen with the Bet365 early payout offer. If you're a winner, if your team goes up by 17 points with the instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners, download the app and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. Now, there are other great offers going on right now during the season. There's the Thursday Night Football $10 safety net bet. Tonight, you could do the Monday Night Football 50% super profit boost token on same-game parlays, 100% parlay boost, double your winnings on parlays with Bet365's 100% parlay boost. Download the app and use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. And breaking news from Bet365 right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10, get a bet placed for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, the bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Believe me, I did it, and I'm happy about it.
And, Luke, I want to talk about the good people over at Game Day Men's Health. You know, they came into the CHGO offices. They're incredibly nice, dropping the knowledge, bringing the information that we need. And whether it's peak performance or becoming a better father, better husband, or hell, even a better man, Game Day Men's Health wants to support every men's health journey through personalized care tailored to their goals. Very easy, quick process. You're in and out in only an hour with personal care and family local owned clinics. There's one right by me in, I believe, Skokie, right by Evanston. They have an extremely high success rate, and you will feel better and have more energy with testosterone, vitamin supplements, weight loss, and even hair loss treatments. So start your best life with Game Day Men's Health. Scan the QR code or screen and go to GameDayCHGO.com to find locations that are closest to you today. Coming back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast, Joey Christopoulos, Luke Stuckmeyer, Sarah running the ones and twos.
Hey.
Let's get a quick Toyota super chat in there. I'm gonna do Craig Brindle 108. Always great to see him in the chat. Just saying, Jed has broken me. It's not even Christmas, and I know it's hard. It's hard waiting. What's the Tom Petty lyric, Luke? The waiting is the hardest part.
Waiting's the hardest part.
I mean, that's Cubs
YouTube's
fans.
not going to like that. That was so close to Petty. YouTube's not going to like that.
Can we at least file? We could file it maybe under AI because it's really, really close to that.
Accidental.
We're grading Seiya Suzuki. So, Luke, just to reiterate from the other side of the break, you went with a B, right, for your regular season grade.
Regular season B for me. Yes.
Cool. I am going to. So with Seiya Suzuki, again, as I preface it, I have a lot of hopes and expectations for Seiya Suzuki, and I went with a B- for him for his regular season. I know.
You negative Nelly.
Pearl clutching. A couple reasons why. If you look at some of his numbers, again, a big plus. Let's start with some of the pros, right? You mentioned over 30 home runs, over 100 RBIs. In any age or in any generation of the sport of baseball, those are great numbers to have and the sign that you're an all-star player. Another huge pro was, Luke, 151 games, a career high, topping which I believe was 133 was his career high from 2 seasons ago. Was able to stay on the field. Another pro hit 309 with runners in scoring position with a 991 OPS. If you look at it, Seiya's OPS by year as a career as a Cub, 2022, 769. Above average, but okay. 2023, 842. 2024, 848. Granted, with about 20 games less played than he played last year, and last year went down to 804. Pre-All-Star break, as you mentioned, /262, 319 on base percentage, 547 slug, Luke, for an 866 OPS. That is a player, but post-All-Star break, 213 batting average, 336 on base, .351 slug. And then the big one, 77 RBIs in his first 92 games, which had him the leader in the National League in RBIs at the All-Star break. After that, only 25 RBIs in his last 59. So I want to throw it back to you a little bit of, this is kind of a fun philosophical baseball conversation, right? Of a guy hits 309 with runners in scoring position, but then only has 25 RBIs the final 59. Like, I'm willing to concede that this isn't all on Seiya Suzuki, right? This was a collective of an offense that was simply unable to generate scoring opportunities for a guy who hit 309 with runners in scoring position, right? Like, I think we all thought Seiya Suzuki was going to hit 120 RBIs and drive in, had this monster huge year, had a really good year. When we were sitting there in around July, we were saying, man, what is his final line going to look like? Is it going to be 35 bombs and 130 RBIs? Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition.
What did you say the slug was in the first half again?
547.
See, that's where I'm at. That's why I ended up with the B again. I know there was a major slump, but when we went through that stretch of, man, there are like, is he going to get an RBI in the second half of the season? Some of that is, I expect a player to go through a slump. Now, not as bad as the one that he went through. The problem wasn't that he had a slump during the season, because I will take the blistering hot first half, and then I'll take a slump in the second, but you can't have every player on the team have it. That was the problem. He was having the slump, but everybody was having a slump at that point, and at least he did turn it around. So I would always take that blistering stretch because I believe he helped carry the team to the best record in baseball. He was one of the, if you had to put 5 players on a list and say these guys led the Cubs to the best record in baseball at some point in the first half of the season, Seiya's got to be on the list. PCA has to be on the list. Tucker has to be on the list. Seiya, and then probably some pitchers that stepped up with steal out, right?
Yeah, Horton's acceleration or rapid maturation in the second half, took us to another level.
I wonder if these big slumps that the Cubs go on, and it doesn't explain some of the guys, but for like Seiya, like when he starts trying to pull the ball more and hit more home runs and he's playing more games and the numbers are coming, I wonder if that also doesn't, it probably leads to a longer slump. I don't know why, but I feel like that's the way it's been. I just can't remember a time in Cubs baseball where I felt like, man, are these slumps going on forever for these guys?
Well, so that's the thing is, and that's why I hold Seiya to this high regard, because you're actually leading me perfectly into my next stat, where the stuff that you like, or the stuff that the nerds like a lot, is that Seiya has done a great job over the last 2 years eliminating ground ball contact and getting more fly balls in the air and hitting the ball hard with a better pull air percentage. So his pull air percentage from 2024 to 2025 jumped from 15.4% to 24.3%. You can make the argument that maybe that creates a more prolonged slump or gets him out of his game, even though his opposition hits, the percentages stayed pretty flat, stayed pretty even. But then if you look at the ground ball percentage, Luke, in 2023, he had a ground ball percentage of 17.2. Over the last 2 years, he's cut that in half to 9.9. So now this guy is clearly just trying to get the ball in the air, hit it hard, and attack it more in places, and he's got his swing into a certain place. But like all the Cubs hitters, the tale of two stories, right? The tale of two halves. Over 180 at-bats between July and August. He hits 226. That's 180 at-bats, Luke. I get slumps and I get ups and downs, but like, if you're a player of Seiya's talent and caliber and the type of talent that we saw in the postseason, 180 at-bats hit and only 223 with the slugging percentage, somewhere in the low threes, it's just, that's too long for me, man. That's the part that I get a little frustrated with Seiya.
I would say I've been more critical of Seiya in his time here than I have been super positive sometimes. Like, the defense really bothered me for a while, and the slumps bother me. But last year he was really good. And I do wonder going forward this year, now that you don't have Tucker, I mean, he is your power. He is your run producer from the right side. And how is that impacted without one more guy from the other side? And that's why sometimes I know when we talk about a left-handed bat, I also say, yeah, but the Cubs really could use some slug again also from the right side and even it out a little bit more. Do you think whose slumps are the worst on the current Cubs? Like I'll take Tucker out of the conversation because I don't think there's any way he's a Cub anymore.
Yeah, who can you not afford, right?
Yeah. Who's the worst slumper on the Cubs?
So the worst slumper.
Yeah, whose slumps are the worst and the most difficult to just sit and watch?
The ones that drive me the most nuts is Dansby. He becomes a total whiff machine, and he'll go multiple weeks where you will also question what his concept is or what his game plan is when he goes to the plate. Because I feel like sometimes he's almost like, sometimes he's like a scratch golfer where he's like, I'm just going to repeat my swing over and over, and eventually I'm going to catch it.
I'll find my bat.
Yeah, and at 1 and 2, he's just like, well, I think I'm just swinging here. I think this is what's happened. His slumps drive me absolutely nuts. Who is it for you? Who gets under your skin the most, slump-wise?
Well, the contestants are Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, Pete Crow-Armstrong. Are those generally the players we're talking about? Am I forgetting somebody?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that's pretty fair. And those are the guys that have been consistently on the Cubs the most the last, couple of years.
PCA
right?
slumps don't bother me as much because we just know he's wild, and when he gets hot, he'll swing at stuff that's out of the zone and he'll get hits. I would probably go Dansby. Happ, I know, is going to have a long slump or multiple long slumps, but he will end up with the same numbers at the end of every season. Dansby, sometimes I don't know. The reason Dansby's don't seem to bother me as much as Seiya's, and I will actually say Seiya slumps bother me the most, is that Dansby at least is giving you the defense at short. Okay?
Yeah.
And I will also say that other than maybe PCA when he's in the low of the low, even though Seiya is this great hitter and he might be arguably the best hitter on the Cubs, when he misses sometimes and when he's slumping, some of his swings on strikeouts are like if I was up there with my eyes closed. Right? And my swings would be bad if my eyes were open. They wouldn't even be close. But I would say when he's in his slumps, Seiya has like one a game where you're like, what was that?
It is like waving at it is being kind, right?
Can't even explain how bad they are sometimes. And then, he'll bounce out of it and you're like, this guy will get a hit every time.
Yeah, he's the king. He's the king of the non-competitive swing every once in a while. Like, I mean, he gets really cheated. And also the funny part that I looked at when I was looking at Baseball Savant was last year, Seiya did a great job at hitting off-speed pitches. His work with fastball, he can hit a fastball, and he has great zone control. We talk about that a lot, and when we talk about ABS, we always kind of refer back to this will probably benefit Seiya, right? Because he seems to have a really good eye at the plate. Last year, he did a really good job hitting off-speed stuff, and he did a terrible job at recognizing and hitting breaking ball. If you want to make sense of it, in 2024, it was the exact opposite. He did a great job identifying and hitting breaking ball. He did a terrible job at hitting off speed. So you're right. Like, for all the talent in the world, there are swings and sequences that do have you scratching your head if you're Seiya Suzuki. We got about a minute before the break, but like, Luke, I want to tease it with I think the big question that I always think about with Seiya, and when I'm looking at this offseason, and when we think about Alex Bregman, or when we think about Kyle Tucker or Cody Bellinger of years past, is Seiya Suzuki the rug that ties the room together offensively? Can Seiya Suzuki be the number one offensive force in a Cubs lineup that can at least be better half in the National League and be a team that's a 90-plus win team? Can he be the number one guy? That's the question that I always have about Seiya, and I don't know if I have the answer to it.
My answer is no, but that doesn't mean he can't be a key piece in the Cubs offense, which I think he is. But let's ask that to the chat. Give us your answer. Can Seiya be the best piece of the Cubs offense? Can be the key bat in the Cubs offense? Let us know in the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel or the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Let us know what you think. But first, a word from our sponsors here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota.
Hey, Cubs fans, our friends at Sunnyside Dispensary, they are here to elevate your football season. That's right, baseball's only a couple months away, but the Bears are in full swing in Sunnyside. It's your home for judgment-free shopping. They have a crazy selection right now with over 100 different strains to choose from, and they have easy online ordering and in-store pickup. So wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign and as far north as South Beloit. So stop into the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff. Head to their website right now for Bright Buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Only if you enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. And for returning customers, use code CHGO50. But remember, exclusions apply. Sunnyside Dispensary, Bright Buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. It's Sunnyside, CHGO's favorite place to check out.
Toyota-thon is on, so get your Toyota while the getting's good. Score value on the versatile RAV4, which is America's #1 selling vehicle. Ride with Tacoma, that's their rugged weekend warrior, or hit the road with Camrys available. All-wheel drive, red-hot savings are ready for you right now at Toyota-thon. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places. What a time it is right now for you to be a CHGO diehard. Are you kidding me? The Bears have 10 wins?
Yeah.
The Cubs won a playoff series? Can't believe it. Become a CHGO diehard. Upgrade your fandom today. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt, plenty discounts on merch and events in the future, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out in our PJs and just talk Chicago sports, sometimes a little bit more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of diehards and sickos already in our community. We want to connect with you on an even greater level today.
Back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Joey Christopoulos, Luke Stuckmeyer, Sarah on the ones and twos. Got some great comments here in the chat, Luke. But first, to those comments and to those people there, Christmas is right around the corner, Luke. And as of right now, we have a certain, new hat drop, a little sick drip for the Christmas season.
Pew, pew, pew.
Drip drop, ALLCITY headwear, all these new styles. You got the classic CHGO with the beautiful white and the black brim, and then check out those ones in the middle, the CHGO Bulls, and then the CHGO Blackhawks. Look, Bedard's down, but not for long. He'll be back in the new year. That team is young. That team is hungry. So what better way than right now getting in on those hats for the Christmas season for yourself or for a loved one? It fits in a stocking. It'll work. It'll happen. But yeah, check out all those wonderful hats at all CHGO or allcity.com and pick one up. I love hats. You love a good hat?
Me too. By the way, those hats are great, but they aren't the only hats we have.
No,
either. We also have some great Bears ones that are doing really well right now. Obviously, the Brandon Bill hat, good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Absolutely. I wanted to throw out some quick Toyota super chats here. I really liked a lot. So Godfather CHGO jumping in the chat saying Seiya needs a day off. I think he's saying Seiya needs a day off once a week. Seems to run out of gas. I think that's actually a compelling argument there because I'm kind of on his side a little bit of him DHing a lot last year. I think preserved his body and maybe helped him provide that offensive production that he had last year. And then, Sarah, can you just scroll up just a little bit more, just really quick? There was another one I
helped him stay fresh, that he didn't have to take the wrong route to the ball in the outfield that many times.
Yeah, well, Michael Thiel, 3161 also says, Seiya seems to guess when he's in a slump instead of hunting for his pitch when he's in favorable counts and reacting in unfavorable counts. And I think that's a good observation, too, as well. He can be a little vexing sometimes because I just think he's so talented. I think when I'm criticizing him, it's because I hold his potential in such a high regard. And I really do think that he can be a very special player. He already is a special player, fringe, borderline all-star. But I can see more. I don't know what it is, but that's just how I feel about it.
So you asked the question before the break. You asked me, can he be the big bat in the line? Can he be the guy that carries the Cubs offense? Well, I would argue no. Like, right? I'm on that no. That's why I keep saying they need another bat to be added. Even if PCA were to put it all together in one full season, even if you get somebody else doing that, even if Michael Busch turns into a true superstar this coming season, I think Seiya is a really, really good hitter. I don't think he is in the same class of the guys that literally carry an offense. He's not in the Judge category. He's not in the Ohtani category. He might do it for a short period of time, but I don't think you're going to say he's the guy that did it for longer than that. He did it in the postseason. He and Michael Busch were the answer. Like, that's why I gave him an A for his playoff grade, because 3 home runs and 5 RBI in 8 games, he was feared. He was feared, and he was productive for the Cubs offense. So he can be that guy, but I don't think you want him being that guy as the headliner overall.
Yeah, if you want to do the cliche of, I think he's an awesome Robin to some kind of Batman on a really, really good team. And if you look at it, I pulled up just through WRC Plus last year, say it was at 123. In the National League, he finished 3rd among designated hitters. I mean, ho-hum, it's hard to finish above that when Shohei Ohtani has a 172 and a Kyle Schwarber has a 152. He finished at 123, and then 4th was Christian Yelich at 121. Among right fielders, I just threw him into the right field mix just to see where he would stack up, because he's probably going to have to play right field next year. 5th in the National League behind Juan Soto, Corbin Carroll, Kyle Tucker, Fernando Tatis, and then Seiya Suzuki. Sal Frelick right under that. In baseball, among DHs, he was the 10th best DH per WRC+. He's a little bit better, and maybe there's a little bit more value as a right fielder, where he was 8th in right field among Major League Baseball and WRC+, right behind, ho-hum, old friend, Cody Bellinger. So this isn't saying that he's not nobody. He's definitely a somebody. Is he in that upper echelon elite talent of offensive players? He probably isn't. And when we talk about trying to dissect these slumps that he goes through at the time, and he isn't slump proof, it wouldn't hurt right to have somebody protecting him or insulate him. And and I think he was in the best position he had ever been in a Cubs uniform last year, Luke, when you've talked about it a ton, of he just got to sit back and eat. There was guys on base in front of him all the time. He hit like over 900 OPS hitting 2nd. He did a lot of damage hitting 3rd. So whether it was Michael Busch in front of him or Ian Happ on base or Kyle Tucker getting on base, Seiya Suzuki was hitting with traffic on the base passes, and he did a lot of damage. I think asking him to do it all by himself is probably not something that he's capable of. And I hope that is instructive for what the Cubs do this offseason or the next couple weeks offensively.
I don't know what my overall grade was for him the last couple years. And I still want to hear your playoff grade and overall grade, but I'll just say this. Right. He's an A- for me this year because he came through in the playoffs, which is what we've been asking for. And he had an elite stretch of a half of a regular season, and he finished strong at the end of the regular season. He was able to right the ship, as you mentioned. It's the first time I've ever thought that he deserved to be in the A category, even though I think he's a really good hitter and he knows the strike zone, sometimes to his detriment. Like, he doesn't want to move off of it, and I get it. But like, for me, he was an A- player this year, and so for me, it's hats off to him. It was I asked more out of him last year, and we got it. Now, whether or not the best is still yet to come next year, let's figure that part out.
And it might be a walk here too as well. Yeah, postseason, I'm right in lockstep with you. I believe I think I went A- for the postseason. And when we talk a lot about, I went A for the playoffs, excuse me.
Yeah.
And when we talk a lot about Michael Busch and what the Milwaukee Brewers did and tried to avoid when it comes to pitching to Michael Busch, and we talk all the time about how the Cubs need to add high-octane arms, and can they hit fastball, and can they do this, and look what the San Diego Padres had to offer. Well, Seiya Suzuki was up to that challenge in that moment. And you mentioned it already. You bookmarked 3 home runs, 3 doubles, 8 postseason games. I don't care about the batting average in 8 games. I look at the slugging percentage, and it was .613. Yep. The dude was hitting missiles all over the field throughout this postseason series. And look no further than that huge 3-run bomb that he hit, right, when life was pretty good in that first inning of that Milwaukee Brewers game, right? So for a playoffs, he gets an A. And again, it's tough, right? Because out of one side of my mouth, I think the best days are coming from Michael Busch. I think he's an ascending player, and I think that he can get even better. And the scratching the surface, little cliche, I think that applies to Michael Busch. When we talk about Seiya Suzuki, do I think that there's more in there? I do. Whether I see it or not, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little skeptical. And for a guy heading into a walk year after signing a $90 million deal who's going to be in his early 30s, I don't know how the Cubs land about it, and I don't know how I should feel about it. And this is a big season for Seiya Suzuki. I think he's proven a lot as a consistent hitter, as a fringe all-star, as a dude that is certainly a 3-4-5 hitter, or of course a 2-hitter in a normal offensive lineup. But I went overall B for the season because heading into a walk year, Luke, I'm dying to see what he has to offer. And I am asking myself, what kind of season does Seiya Suzuki have to have for the Cubs to say, we can't not sign this guy? We have to extend Seiya Suzuki. What happens to our lineup or our team if we don't extend Seiya Suzuki? I'm just kind of rattling around in my head what kind of season that would have to look like for the Cubs to come to that conclusion.
Two things will have to happen that we'll have to watch this season, assuming he's still on the team, because we have no idea how the rest of this offseason is going to unfold. And I know he has a no-trade clause, but you never know, because his trade value is higher right now than it has ever been, because
the highest.
He has an expiring deal and he had a really good season. We can agree on that. So if a team could target him and say they want him, maybe somebody talks Seiya into leaving in a trade if the Cubs decide. I don't think that's likely, but I'm just saying we don't know that for 100% sure that he's back and in right field or DH next year. Now, when you asked, should he be the cog? Should he be the main guy? Should he be the headliner in your offense? I don't think he's going to be next year. Assuming he's back and playing there, I don't think he's going to be either, because I think it'll be Busch or PCA or player to be added still, right? Like, I still think some of those things could be coming to this Cubs offense. Now, whether or not you think he needs an extension, I think will depend almost solely on his season, obviously, but then also Owen Caissie. If Owen Caissie is here, how does Owen Caissie look in his first full major league season? Can they afford to look at Owen Caissie and say, all right, we got right field covered, and Seiya's in his 30s, going on mid-30s, maybe we could find somebody else once the work stoppage is likely over, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know. I honestly don't think he's an automatic extension guy. I don't think he's an automatic extension guy, and I don't know if I believe that he's here any longer than this season. I think it could be, as you put in our chat, say it later. I think even though he's potentially the best hitter on the team, it's very possible it's say it later after this year.
Yeah, and this is the part that I got kind of confused on, right? When things were going great and Kyle Tucker was King Tuck during the summer. In my head, I try and think like I try and have a schizophrenic Cubs mind, Luke. So schizophrenic Cubs mind A is what I want as a Cubs fan, which is I want the world, the moon, and the stars. The other part of my brain legitimately tries to think about what would Jed do and what would be a reasonable, rational thing that I could see them doing to have it all kind of make sense. And I was sort of reading the tea leaves of Kyle Tucker comes in, Cody Bellinger's money comes out. It all sort of comes out in the wash. And the part that I was kind of starting to think in my head was, as you said, Seiya's trade value is never higher than it is right in this moment right now. And the part that I was starting to think about was, what if the Cubs extended Kyle Tucker but traded Seiya Suzuki? You took his $20 million off and you substituted it with a $15 million difference of the $35 that Kyle Tucker would take. Now, that doesn't look like that's necessarily in the cards because Kyle Tucker isn't coming back. But when you bring up Owen Caissie, what does that mean and what does that look like? And we see people in the chat, and I agree with you. The next 2 years, if you look at free agent outfielders, the list isn't great. No. You know, there's Ronald Acuna with maybe some club option flexibility or whatever, but other than that, there aren't some big ticket, crazy outfielding options that you can just go out and pluck out and sign. So the Cubs are going to have to make a decision. We're going to take one more quick break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. On the other side, we're going to get into Owen Caissie. We're going to get into Seiya, and we're also going to ask the question. There's a lot of guys that could be or should be extended by the Chicago Cubs. Which one would you sign, chat? Let us know what your thoughts are on the other side. But first, a word from our wonderful partners.
Okay, here's a serious question, athletes. Are you serious about taking your game to the next level? Because the right coach at the right time can change everything. And now finding one is easier than ever with eye on the ball. Doesn't matter if you're a kid just starting out or an old guy like me or competing at the top level, you can sign up totally free at eyeontheball.net. Create your profile, search through the coaches in your sport, and connect directly with the one that's right for you. From soccer to swimming, baseball to basketball, you name it, the coaches are there. They're waiting for you. What are you waiting for? Your future coach could be one click away right now. Jump on today at eyeontheball.net. That's eyeontheball.net. Find your coach. Take your game to the next level. Don't be like me. Don't end up mid. End up elite.
Oh, man. Give yourself more credit, Luke. Also, mid. You know what isn't mid, Luke? It's Ray Chevrolet and Fox Lake, because tis the season right now with hot deals all month long during their year-end sales event. And stop in today. Drive home with $0 down and 0 payments until March on all new Chevrolet models, or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000 with one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. You're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you will always get a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you're going to pay. So go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't miss out on their year-end sales event going on all month long for $0 down, 0 payments until March. All new Chevrolet models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving our beautiful community since 1963. Together, Luke, let's drive. Let's drive.
Back on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We've been grading Seiya Suzuki. Could this be his final year of the contract he has with the Chicago Cubs? Was it a good signing? I would say it's been a good signing so far. But will he be the future? And that kind of leads us into, can the kids play? That's where we've been sitting so far this offseason. And it leads us to our Game Day Men's Health segment. And I ask the question, is Owen Caissie ready in right field? Joey, what do you think? Because if Seiya is a question mark for the future moving forward, I guess you could say Owen Caissie is too, but most people seem to think he's going to get a shot to play a lot of right field. And frankly, I will say this, defensively, in the short time that we saw him in right field at Wrigley, I thought he was better defensively than I was expecting. I thought he was going to be a slugger that looked more like Schwarber in the outfield, and that didn't seem to be the case.
I completely agree with you. You watch stuff on YouTube, right? And you try and watch the highlights, or you try and watch maybe some of the games on Marquee to get a feel for Owen Caissie. But then two things stood out to me. When he put on that Cubs uniform, I was like, this dude's a monster. Like, yeah, just the shoulder. I mean, he had some broad shoulders. He's the first ever, Canadian. You're drafted in the organization. He's got the hair going. He's got a lot of these crazy dynamic features. And then to your point, you're right. I thought he moved pretty impressively well for a big guy out there in right field. It was awful to see him get a taste and get a firsthand meet and greet with the Wrigley Wall, young man. You're not the first. You won't be the last. But, I mean, let's make that meeting as brief as possible and not have that happen again. And hopefully, when you worry about concussions, that he comes through okay and he's feeling fine. And when we talk about Mo Ball and we talk about Owen Caissie on this show, I'm definitely higher on the potential of Mo Baller probably in the short term, and I have general hesitancy and concern just with the swing and miss with Owen Caissie in developing him next year when we're trying to win and push forward on a window. Like, look, it's not a fair sample size, but on 33 breaking ball pitches, he swung and missed at 65 of them, right? On fastball, 52 pitches saw at the major league level, swung and missed on 27 of them, 27% of them. So, look, like, not fair, but also there is some swing and miss in his game. And having said that, there's also big-time power potential. I'm starting to, as the days go on, as the winter gets colder, Luke, and these names keep getting taken off the list of this free agent class, I'm starting to lean more towards the Chicago Cubs spending the money necessary to get Alex Bregman in a Cubs uniform. And whatever that means for whether that turns into Zach Gallen or whether that turns into whatever trade it is that they're cooking up on the pitching side, that's fine. That's great. But when you're starting to look at the options and you start looking at the offensive hitters that are going to be available next year and the years to come, it's thinner than you think. So I'm starting to lean towards bringing out Alex Bregman and then, like turning the DH position into a versatile area to give Bregman a day off of his feet, keep Seiya as fresh as possible, give Owen Caissie some days on a good matchup, give a lot of that run to Moises Ballesteros. And I feel fairly confident that when Owen Caissie's out there in right field, we're going to get a pretty decent effort, a decent day's work out there defensively from that position. I'm starting to lean towards that a little bit. Now, if we don't sign Bregman, and then, it's a ton of Matt Shaw at third, and then it's Owen Caissie and Moises Ballesteros, let's roll. I'm frankly going to get concerned because we've just spent the last 50 minutes talking about how Seiya can't be the only guy to carry you in this offense. And if it's Michael Busch and Seiya Suzuki 1 and 2 in your lineup, what happens after that beyond PCA, right? So my opinion is going to hinge a little bit on Bregman and how I feel about Caissie staying in a Cubs uniform. And we'll see what happens with the trades. And maybe he is a part of the trade that's going to bring in some pitching. But I like Owen Caissie as a player. But again, I reiterate, it's just a timing thing with me, man. It's just a timing thing. And it stinks for Owen Caissie. But the Cubs have a window right now. And I don't know if his maturation is going to fit with the timing of that window.
Yeah, I asked, is he ready in right field? My answer is actually irrelevant in this. The real answer is we need the Cubs to have that answer, know that answer, and if the answer is yes, then he's the guy that had the most power of any player in their organization. It wasn't Canario, it wasn't any. Everybody said Owen Caissie left side. That's your best power hitter in the organization down in the minor leagues. So if the Cubs know that he's that guy, they need to know. And if the Cubs don't know, then we need the Cubs to be the only people that don't know. Okay? If he's not ready, we want the rest of baseball to think he's ready. Like, really, really ready. Like, oh, you're going to miss out on the next
window shopping. Look at that Owen Caissie, mom and dad.
Kyle Schwarber with defensive abilities in right field. That's what we want. We want the Cubs to know the answer, and we want nobody else to know that answer. That's what we really want. And so I think we're going to find out the answer of what the Cubs think potentially right here before the offseason's over, and then we'll find out for ourselves once the season starts whether or not he was ready.
I'm sorry, sir. We don't take returns or receipts for Owen Caissie.
Be careful of your holiday shopping.
We can offer you a gift credit, but
I don't know if he's ready or not, but make sure you visit GameDayCHGO.com to find locations closest to you. That was our Game Day Men's Health segment. Is Owen Caissie ready and right? By the way, speaking of trading guys, before we get into the real quick conversation about extending guys, the Brewers just traded a guy that finished 4th in National League Rookie of the Year voting. So for the people that say you can't trade Owen Caissie or you can't trade Mo Baller or you can't trade so-and-so, just remember that a guy that finished just 2 spots behind Cade Horton just quietly was traded by the Brewers.
Yeah, and maybe knocking down some of the arguments I've made on the show. What did they trade it for? More pitching.
Yeah. Because it's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. It's at a premium, and the Brewers seem to be pretty damn good at targeting it, bringing it in, and seasoning it, marinating it, and bringing it to fruition.
It also goes to the people that say you can't trade Matt Shaw too.
100%. If you believe in what you're doing, and you believe that your system, your philosophy, your structure, that it works, you can trade people because you know that you'll be able to develop them again. Like, I have optimism about Matt Shaw, but I'm sorry, Cubs fans, like, he's not a unicorn. Right? We've seen a lot of plucky glove first third baseman that play the game hard and maybe, hit the ball on a line. We've seen that before in the game of baseball, right? Like, this isn't something where we can't get rid of them because we'll have nothing else. Like, that's what your farm system is for. That's what your development program is all about, that we can make these gambles. We can trade an Isaac Collins because we believe that we can find another Isaac Collins in the system somewhere along the way because our system works. And that's the thing with the Cubs that we always get confused about. So forgive us if we're always like, the Cubs need to spend money, because the Cubs need to spend money because I don't think they have faith that their system works like that.
Don't let all your young prospects and young players fizzle out before you trade them or release them.
Yeah. 100%.
That's what we don't want. So who should and could be extended by the Cubs? You're talking about Seiya. Like, is that a guy that they should extend this season if they have the opportunity to do it?
So that's what's interesting, and this is going to be a theme I think we're going to be hammering on CHGO Cubs for a while, is if you look at a lot of walk-year guys, you talk about Ian Happ, you talk about Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki, Matthew Boyd, Jameson Taillon, Shota Imanaga, all playing on contracts that will expire after next season. Who do I think should get one? I think Seiya should probably be right at the top of the list of that. I think what Matthew Boyd has brought to the table so far, and his market price or whatever percentage you want to maybe uptick on the $15 million he's going to make this year, maybe he'd be willing to sign a $17 or $18 million deal to stay in Chicago because he likes it here and he's found success here. He might be number two. Who could possibly get it? I mean, that's a question I'd love to hear your thoughts on, Luke, because one of these guys, this is tale as old as time. Walk-year guys somehow, some way, find a way to have that monster season at the exact right time for the player and sometimes the exact wrong time for the organization. Yeah. And if I had to pick one of those guys out of that list, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think Ian Happ might have a huge year next year. Like a huge year, and all of a sudden, what do we do with Ian Happ? He hit 30 home runs for the first time ever. What does this mean? What does this look like? And would the Cubs be amenable to that?
You know what? I say that overall, we answer this question in tomorrow's podcast. But I will say this: when I look at the list and I see Happ, Seiya, Nico, Boyd, Taillon, Shota, I see a list of guys that I do not question character at all. The last thing you want to do is give an extension to a guy that isn't going to work hard and is going to get the extension and then just, I got my money, I'm packing it away for the rest of the time. I don't think the Cubs have that problem. They just have to identify who's got it left in their tank at the right price. Somebody in that list deserves extensions. Maybe all of them do, right? Like if you had unlimited money, but somebody in that list is going to run out of gas. Multiple players on that list are going to run out of gas. I don't question the character at all. So at least the Cubs are halfway there on that question. And I think we can dig totally into it tomorrow with Justin Roman if you want. But do you agree with that part of it? Like at least the Cubs have a good choice of players that have the right mindset and also have shown that they can be pretty good at Major League Baseball at some point.
Yeah, we got to get out of here in about 40 seconds. I'll let you take us home, Luke. I think that's great. Like tomorrow we could rank them of who might be most deserving, less deserving, the ones we think are most likely, least likely. Everyone can jump in the chat and have their own opinion. But you are bringing up a great point, which is, again, another pebble in the bucket of why I think the Cubs should be pushing in right now is because of that character, because of those walk years, because of those players. those guys are going to be highly incentivized, not just for the Chicago Cubs and our own fandom and enjoyment, but for their families and for their livelihood next year. And you're going to get maybe the best performance out of some really good dudes in that clubhouse next year. Another great reason to push it in and try and get better and be more impactful next year.
Okay, we'll tackle that fully tomorrow, along with whatever the big move is that's going to happen between now and then, because it's got to happen sooner or later. The Cubs have to make a move. Please, for the love of all that is holy, please something happen. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Thanks to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Thanks to everybody listening in podcast form, and we will talk to you tomorrow. See you at 2 right here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.